in Washington or the eastern part of Martin County, you need to make sure that you take cover and find your safe place, especially if you're right around Dardens up to Plymouth and then into the southeastern part of Bertie County. These are areas around 308 that we're looking at here. I'll back out just a little more and show you that what we're seeing here is this particular area, but this has the potential of producing a tornado, and it looks like they may have just dropped that tornado. So let me take a look here and see what the latest updated information would be from this particular storm system. And we've been watching that area, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, with the thunderstorms that have been moving across the region. But this is the area right around Plymouth right now that we're looking at. Let's go back over to the radar and just kind of show you that we still have that tornado warning. As you can see, it's just moving just to the west of Plymouth and north of Plymouth, but it was moving right along Highway 64. So for that tornado warning, again, the potential for 1-inch size hail and 50-mile-per-hour winds and the severe thunderstorm associated with that. But we do have the tornado warning that continues at this particular point. The tornado warning will run until 5:45. That's the area that you do see in red. Now, that severe thunderstorm warning that we have associated with that also continues until 5:45. And that's for the same area right around Plymouth up to Skinnersville. As I mentioned, Skinnersville and Roper a couple of minutes ago before they were added into this. I said take a line from Skinnersville and continue on back down toward the areas of Roper and Plymouth, and then Dardens and Hinson. Those are the areas where we've been looking at the potential with this storm, but it continues to move slowly to the northeast at about 15 miles per hour. So if you are in those areas, some safety tips for you. You need to make sure that you're safe during this this particular system, this storm system as it makes its way through. We do have the potential for, once again, seeing gusty, damaging winds. Tornadic winds are certainly possible because of the radar indicated tornado. So be sure to go to the interior room in your house. That is very important that you stay away from windows and the exterior walls. That is certainly something that creates a lot of concern for folks. But again, if you are in a home that has lots of windows, get to the closets or a bathroom or a hallway inside the house. That is something that you need to already have a plan before severe weather strikes. So if you have that plan in place, you know how to implement it at this particular point. But as you take a look at this particular area around Plymouth, continuing to make its way north into southeastern Bertie County, and what we're looking at, the area that you're seeing right in here just northwest of Plymouth is the main area for this tornado warning. Now, we talked about this yesterday. We had these storms pop up yesterday. There is a front that has been just sagging or sluggish in the area, and it looks like that will continue to provide some severe weather for the next couple of hours. But again, that tornado warning, certainly an indication that these particular areas that you're seeing now with this severe thunderstorm, that means Berry Hill up to Black Rock, you've been added into this. So for southeastern Bertie County, the eastern part of Martin County, and the western part of Washington County, although as you can see, most of the activity starting to push out of Washington County, with the exception of the areas that you can see north of Dardens, which is actually back to the west of Washington County. And according to the latest information, we'll continue this tornado warning until 5:45. And again, that is for the entire area that you do see. So for those of you in Washington County, you are still in this. For those of you in areas of Martin County, you're starting to see this slide to the north, but your northeastern areas are included. And let's go in and check out some of the roads that we're talking about as far as the areas impacted here. You can see Smith Freeman Road, also Brimmerage Road, up towards Shipyard Landing Road. Those are areas right along Highway 45 and 308 in Bertie County where we're seeing the potential of a tornado that is radar indicated. And again, this tornado warning, it runs until 5:45 for Washington and for Martin County, but it's till 6 o'clock in Bertie County. Now, if you'll take a look to the south, right around Dardens, that was the area where we were seeing the most intense area a couple of minutes ago, but you see it starting to move on off to the north. And again, you can see the areas that we're looking at, and it's the greens, or the brighter greens, and the bright reds associated with each other. That is certainly one of the areas that we've been looking at. And part of the reason for that, once again, is because of the slow movement. It's at 15 miles per hour to the northeast is the last indications that I saw here. But again, for those of you in that area, you need to take caution right now, especially southeastern Bertie County. This appears that it will continue to slide in your direction. And for those of you around Dardens over to near Plymouth, and then continuing on over toward Roper and even up toward Skinnersville, Albemarle Beach Road, you can see that you are in that area as well, as we are keeping an eye on that. But as we come back and make the picture a little bit easier by backing out a bit, you can see that we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for the same area, but the most important thing right now is that tornado warning that runs until 5:45, which is still about 15 minutes from now, and it's moving very slowly off to the northeast at 15 miles per hour. Looks like we just adjusted just at least a small amount. That polygon that you're seeing here. But again, for those areas that are the most concerned right now, Mary Hill, you're included in that as well. And let me turn that banner off so that you can get a better look. But Mary Hill, as you head down Highway 45, Peterson Church Road, also Avoca Farm Road. And then as you make your way to the southwest of Mary Hill, you can see places like Davis Road and Willie Dempsey Road. Those are areas where we do have this concern right now because of this severe thunderstorm warning and tornado warning that is in effect for that area because of a severe thunderstorm that we've been watching. St. Luke Road, also, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, Brimridge Road. You can see over towards Smith, Freeman Road. Those are the areas of most concern. And then as you head to the south into the northeastern part of Martin County, we still have heavy rain and a thunderstorm associated with this area, especially near Pulp Mill Road and also Gray Farm Road, right along Highway 64 just north of Dardens. And then you can see Highway 52 coming into 64. This is about to move out of your area and out of Jamesville at the moment. Jamesville is certainly in the area we've been keeping an eye of. And again, in Jamesville, that's where we've been seeing the area develop, but it is starting to slide to the north of Jamesville now. And again, over toward Plymouth right now, you are in the tornado warning, but it looks like the most of the activity is just to your west, but you need to keep in mind that this is a situation with a tornado warning. You should always make sure that you take extreme caution. And again, here's what we're looking at as far as the tips that you need to know. And these are severe weather tips for tornadoes, and we remind them to you every time. And part of the reason for that is you need to know where to go, have a plan in place. But as you take a look, the main places that we're looking at during a tornado event is to make sure you're away from those windows. Now you can see a hall here and a closet in the central part of the house. That is certainly an area, stairway, and even a bathroom. If it doesn't have a window, you can even get in the bathtub and cover up, and that certainly helps you be protected from the debris. But stay away from the outside windows. That would indicate the areas in red that you're looking at on your screen. If you have a basement, that's great. We don't have many of those in Eastern Carolina, but if you have one, that's the place to be. And of course, again, if you're outside, you need to get indoors immediately. By the way, if you get into a bathroom and into a bathtub, go ahead and cover yourself up with a blanket, or if you have any kind of athletic helmet, a biker's helmet, those blankets and pillows, just make sure that you protect yourself, and that's another way to do so with that flying debris. Otherwise, back to the radar, what we're looking at is the area for a tornado warning that runs until 5:45 for the western part of Washington County and the northeastern part of Martin County. Now those two areas, with the storm moving off to the northeast at about 15, that means that southeastern Bertie County is the area of most concern right now. As you take a look, these are the areas around Highway 45 headed over to Sutton Road. As you make your way off to Davis Road, also we're looking at an area there right on the edge of it that is Willie Dempsey Road, Smith Freeman Road, as I mentioned, and also Brimridge Road. These have not changed very much as far as being under the gun with this potential storm. We'll go back and take a look at the areas that we try to keep an eye on, and notice that that area that we're looking at right here just to the northeast of Dardens, in fact between Dardens and Plymouth now, is the area where we're seeing the indications here on radar. But again, we're kind of where those radars are switching positions here, so that is certainly something that we're looking at 2 or 3 different radar sites to move in and see what these particular areas are looking like. You can see the change between the green and the red there. That's just changing the radar site. And for those of you that are in this particular area, especially near Hyman's Ferry Road and Pulp Mill Road, between those two, you're seeing the strongest part of this storm. And again, for those of you in that area, you need to be aware that this tornado warning will continue until 5:45 for the areas right around the western part of Washington County, also the northeastern part of Martin County. And as we go through the next 15 or 20 minutes, just be alert in that area. That is very, very important that you stay on top of this system, because it does have the potential of producing some hail, which could be up to quarter size, and also those gusty winds that are associated with a tornado. Now again, I am going to back out and show you the entire area just to give you a recap of what's going on in the region. We've had the thunderstorms out there this afternoon. Now, as you can see, those have settled down a bit to the west and the south, although we still have that severe thunderstorm warning that's in Wilson as well as up into Edgecombe County. And then as you make it back into places like Duplin County, you can see that we do have some areas of heavy rain and even thunderstorms that are moving through. Let me turn the lightning back on, and you can see that we do have some lightning in that area, especially as you get up toward Beulahville. But this curls all the way back around to near Wallace as folks headed up I-40 will run through this near Wallace in the southwestern and western part of Duplin County. And then as you make your way back over toward Clinton, we're seeing another area with the potential of a thunderstorm there with the lightning strikes. Also, as this area moves off to the northeast, you can see we get into that warned area that we told you about just a couple of minutes ago. And you can see up around Rocky Mount, back down to Wilson. That's the area where we're seeing the heaviest precip and the lightning strikes right now. But again, we're keeping our eye on Bertie County. This is the area that we need to keep attention to, and that is because of the tornado warning. And you can see it's mainly for the southwestern part of, I should say the southeastern part of Bertie County. The western part still included is Washington County. That area from Plymouth to the north, you can see it is starting to slide just to the west, but we still have that one area between Jonesville and Plymouth. And then as you head north on up toward Mary Hill, you need to keep in mind around Highway 308 and 45, you're going to run into the potential of some severe weather here with that tornado warning. And the tornado warning for Bertie County runs until 6 o'clock. So keep that in mind. This is moving at 15 miles per hour, and I'm going to look for an update here just to see if anything has changed as far as this particular storm system and where it is located. Last indication was though moving to the northeast at about 20 or at about 15. So again, 15 to 20 mile per hour movement is not very much. So we expect that to continue to be the pace, but it is starting to push the thunderstorm up near Mary Hill right now. And for those of you in and around Mary Hill and Black Rock, you're seeing this, and then it will slide out over the Albemarle Sound and start to make its way north of the Sound. So that is why that this tornado warning is in effect, though, as it makes its way through Bertie County. And as it continues to move Over the next couple of minutes, you can see it is still hugging right around Plymouth, so we're keeping Washington County in this, and then as we curve back down toward Dardens, as we come down Highway 64, and then on over toward Jamesville. Now, Jamesville, you are right on the edge of that tornado warning at this particular time, so it looks like it is starting to drift off to the north, but don't let your guard down just yet. Gray Farms Road, just to the north of 64, and right around Dardens, also Old US Highway 64 coming up into 64. Those are the areas north of Darden where we are seeing the areas of concern for the potential with this tornado warning. We'll back out and show you again. Those of you in Plymouth, you're still seeing the indications around Plymouth for some of the severe thunderstorm activity. So for those of you in Washington County and the northeastern part of Martin County, you do have this tornado warning that continues for your area. And then as we get into Bertie County, that's the main concern because this runs until 6 o'clock. So we have just about 6 or 7 minutes left on the tornado warning for Washington and Martin County. But as you get up into Bertie County, it continues until 6 o'clock. And the polygon that you see there, the red, that indicates where the tornado warning is. And we have two areas that we're keeping an eye on. And again, that's right around Plymouth. And then as you continue back over toward Dardens, I'm going to go back to that area one more time, even though Dardens, you appear to be on the south side, right along 64, just to the north of Dardens is where we have been tracking this area. But notice it is starting to push off as well. But some of the heavier activity of rain continues back along West Main Street, Adams Street, also Washington Street as you make your way around Plymouth. And then to the west, there's Alden Road and Waco Road as you get back to the west of Plymouth and back into the central part of the storm. Also, you see Plywood Road. That is another area that we are keeping an eye on here. As this system moves off to the north, it's going to be passing near you. You see Brimridge Road. We've talked about that a couple of times. And now notice some of that activity has made it north into Mary Hill, which is right on the edge of that tornado warning polygon. So for those of you right along 45 as you make your way into Mary Hill coming up from the south, that's the area where if you have family or friends traveling on that road, or if you know people headed home from work and they usually take 308 or 45 just to the south of Mary Hill, that is the area of most concern, and make sure that they also know in case they've not been able to hear the latest updates in their car, at least a quick phone call from you can help them be on the alert for the danger of this storm. That is very, very important. And of course, if you have a NOAA weather radio, it's probably gone off for this storm, should have gone off for this storm. So you know to always have a plan when you hear the radio go off, because of the fact that that is letting you know that you have to have a plan in place during severe weather. And this is certainly one of those cases where you would want to do that. As you can see, Woodard Road, you're on the edge of this now, continuing on over toward Middle Track Road. And then as you head up through Bertie County, that's where we're going to see the most concern right now. This is just one area of Martin County back over to Washington County, right along the county line with Bertie, where we're still seeing the potential. But you notice it is moving, but very slowly, only at about 15 miles per hour. Now, as we head back to the north, again, Mary Hill, you need to be on the alert over the next couple of minutes as this storm continues to push to the north. Sutton Road, right along Highway 45, and then as you make your way over toward the Albemarle Sound, especially toward Scotch Hall Lane, those are areas which will be seeing this activity pick up as we go through the next couple of minutes, especially in Bertie County. Our main thing that we're going to keep an eye on as well is for Martin County and for Washington County, and that's just as this is brushing up right along the county line, as you can see with Bertie County and both Martin and Washington as it lifts to the north away from Martin and Washington County, but it's moving so slowly that it's still impacting in places like Plymouth. That is where the concern still remains. And as we take a look to the latest information that we do have, and again, the report of a funnel cloud was made through the 911 center, and that is according to reports from the National Weather Service. The information that came in was multiple reports of the funnel cloud relayed through the 911 center. No touchdown has been reported yet, but there certainly was indications of a funnel cloud that was spotted and phoned in by several different calls to the 911 center, and that's for that area in Washington County and Martin County. So for those of you in Bertie County, you know that there has been at least some indications of seeing a funnel cloud as it makes its way through those counties to the south of you. So that's why you need to be on extra alert, especially right around 308 over to 45. Those are the areas starting to get into the extreme weather at this particular point. And if you take a look, once again, I'm going to slide south and show you that we do have that tornado warning that is continuing for Washington and Martin County, but you'll notice that most of the activity is starting to slide to the north, but right along and north of 64 between Jamesville and Plymouth, you still need to keep your guard up with this particular system. It's not out of Martin or Washington County just yet, but Bertie County is now starting to see the bulk of this particular storm system. We'll back and show you again what we're looking at as far as the potential here, and that is that we do have still right around Plymouth and making it back to the west. You can see that we do have some of those areas here of concern, but it doesn't look as concerning as it did a couple of minutes ago, but we did have a report of a funnel cloud, so that means that there certainly has been the possibility of a funnel cloud or tornado in that particular area. But again, we have not had any reports of a touchdown just yet or any damage from any of those areas like Washington and Martin County. But for those of you to the north in Bertie County, you need to keep an eye on this, because it's those areas of green and red that we always look for here is starting to slip to the north into Bertie County. So for those areas that we've been talking about for the past couple of minutes, that's why that this will continue until 6 o'clock for Bertie County. And again, Bertie County is going to be under the gun a little bit longer than Martin and Washington County. Those two counties right now appear to be expected to expire their tornado warning coming up here in just a couple of minutes. It's set to expire at 5:45, and that's about a minute from now that we may see that part dropped. But that doesn't mean you need to let your guard down if you're in Plymouth just yet, or if you are in the areas right along Highway 64, Jamesville to Dardens over to Plymouth. Those areas right along 64 and north is where we're still seeing some of the severe potential from this storm system. Now, for those of you that are seeing some of the activity pop up, you need to be on the alert that this will continue for the next couple of minutes, as this system pushes off to the north. And that is certainly something that you need to make sure that you and your family are safe during these events, because this is extremely important that for those of you in southeastern Bertie County, western part of Martin County, as well as the northeastern part of the areas that you can see there in, say, Martin County from Jamesville over to Dardens and then into Plymouth and on up to Albemarle Beach. Those are the areas, and you can see that tornado warning has been allowed to expire at 5:45 for Washington and Martin County. It's mainly right along the southeastern part of Bertie County that continues to be a concern. You can see from Maryhill continuing down 45, that's where you're going to run into this. So if you normally have friends and family that take this route home from work in the afternoon, you may want to give them just a quick call to let them know that this is a storm system they need to be concerned about. Woodard, you're right on the edge, and it looks like a Maryhill, you're right on the western edge of the polygon, but the severe weather is still going to be in your neighborhood, so be sure to take your precautions and keep your eye to the sky to make sure that you are up to date on what's happening with this particular storm system. But we'll go back in and show you some of the roads. Once again, there's 308 as you head to the west or east on 308. If you're headed to 45 or from 45 on 308, you're going to see like around St. Luke Church Road. Also, as you make your way over to Brimridge Road and Smith Freeman Road, And then as we take a look at Highway 308 going south, we're still getting into the area with most of the concern right now of this system pushing off to the north. Now, we have not seen any indications of a change expected in this particular storm system, and the National Weather Service that oversees Bertie County, and that's the one from Wakeville, Virginia, they are continuing this tornado warning because of the potential of a tornado and the possibility of funnel clouds in and around the areas just south of Bertie County moving to the north, so they will continue this until 6 o'clock. Now I'm going to show you and back out and just kind of do a recap here for you for the entire area. And again, you can see what we're looking at in Duplin County. There's some of those lines of showers and storms. I'll turn the lightning back on so that you can see that we do have some lightning associated with this. But again, this runs from Beulahville back down to Wallace, moving very slowly with the lightning strikes there. Western part of Duplin County and northwestern part of Duplin County, you may be hearing the rumbles of thunder from this system, especially around Faison, continuing on down toward Warsaw.
We just checked in with the Bertie County Sheriff's Office and the Martin County Sheriff's Office, just trying to stay on top of this for you. So far, we don't have any damage reported just yet. However, Donnie is staying on top of this for you as we monitor the storm moving through the area with warnings in place right now. Again, we will continue checking in with the sheriff's offices and local law enforcement to see if there is any impact on the ground. But so far, once again, no damage reported in Bertie or Martin counties at this time.
And as we come back into Bertie County, you can see that's the area with the tornado warning there. That's the polygon, the red polygon. The yellow one, or the gold one, that is a severe thunderstorm warning, and it is located out there as well, associated with this same storm system. Let me turn the lightning bolts off so you can get a better look. But from Plymouth to north to Maryhill, that is the main concern right now. So again, right along Highway 45 down to 308, you can see those main roadways are the ones that we're most concerned with right now as this moves to the north, especially as you can see right around Plymouth and then areas north of Plymouth in Bertie County, southeastern Bertie County. Now this particular storm system is only moving at about 15 miles per hour, so that certainly is a concern as it moves off to the northeast. But again, what we're looking at here is the areas of most concern right now. It has moved out of Washington County and Martin County, but don't let your guard down, especially in the western part of Washington County, because you can certainly make out from this particular picture that we are seeing some of the thunderstorm activity making its way on into the western part of Washington County, especially just north of Plymouth. As you head on to the north, you can see Roper and Skinnersville there, and Albemarle Beach. Those are the indicators here of where this particular thunderstorm and thunderstorm warning is located, because of this area in the western part of Washington County continuing to push on in to places like Albemarle Beach, Skinnersville. I'd be on the alert, as well as Plymouth, although Plymouth, it looks like you're on the southern edge as it starts to drift up into Bertie County. But Bertie County is still the main concern for us. And as you take a look right around Norman Lane, Sutton Road, and then up toward Maryhill, right around Peterson Church Road, also Peterson Road, and then on up toward Maryhill and Old Maryhill Road. Those are areas where this is going to be headed. In Maryhill, you're just inside the western edge of that polygon, so that means that the activity certainly could become very quickly deteriorate in your area because of this severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. But that tornado warning will continue for Bertie County, and you can see it brushes up next to the Albemarle Sound. So this is going to slide across the Albemarle Sound to the northern part of the sound in the next bit, but we still have about 9 minutes left to go in this tornado warning that we're seeing right now for areas of Bertie County from Black Rock down to Maryhill, continuing as well down toward Plymouth. Again, this southern part is mainly with a severe thunderstorm warning from the western part of Washington County back into Bertie County. But when you get into Bertie County, you actually cross into that polygon, the red one, which indicates the potential for a tornado. As you get up into this area, you have the overlapping radars that we talked about a couple of minutes ago, and sometimes that makes it difficult here to pinpoint those couplets that we talk about from time to time. That's where you have green winds headed into the radar and the red headed away from the radar. This particular area that you're looking at is from the Wakefield radar. If I move just to the north a little bit, you notice that changes. That becomes the Morehead City radar. And you can see just north of Plymouth, that's still the area of concern there. And even when we slide back into the Wakefield, the colors change, but still the area doesn't, just north of Plymouth. And as you make your way into southeastern Bertie County, the potential is still there for this storm. But the main thing is it's certainly something that we're going to keep a watch on for a couple of more minutes, especially with the tornado warning that continues until 6 o'clock for Bertie County. We'll slide back in and show the whole Bertie County, and we'll go back to the radar mode so that you can see where these locations are. We'll turn off the lightning and turn off the banner, but you see the tornado warning banner now that is up until 6 o'clock. But these heavier showers and thunderstorms, yesterday we had some in the afternoon in just about the same area, and this afternoon we're seeing those again slide through. So that is an area that we'll want to keep an eye on as we go through the next couple of minutes. But let me slide this back up and show you the area that we're keeping the eye on for the biggest concern at this particular time is that red polygon. Let me bring it in a little closer for you. That is the areas where we're seeing the potential for a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. That would be mainly in this area here that we are keeping an eye on. It is moving off in this direction at about 15. So for all indications, it is mainly taking its time at making its way through at about 15. I'm going to take the lightning off again, and we'll leave that banner there for you to see that this runs until 6 o'clock. And at 6 o'clock, I believe this will be allowed to expire. We'll certainly see. But the Weather Service in Wakefield, Virginia, keeping this tornado warning in effect. And again, that has certainly been something we are seeing. And this is south of Mary Hill as you make your way toward Plymouth. And it looks like that we do have this area from Plymouth up to Mary Hill over toward Albemarle Beach. That's the area where we do have concerns with this severe thunderstorm. We have a severe thunderstorm warning until 6 o'clock, a tornado warning until 6 o'clock. You can see the two areas highlighted there. I'm going to take the banners off for just a second so we can go back in and take a quick look at Bertie County, because that is the main concern at this particular point. Again, the area to the south in Washington and Martin County have been allowed to expire at 5:45. We have about 5 more minutes left in this tornado warning. And again, anytime there's a tornado warning, you need to make double sure that you take extreme precautions and have a safe place. And that safe place means in the center of your home. So if you happen to see this activity pick up and become threatening, make sure that you get into that safe place in your home. That is very, very important that you do that. You can see they just extended that severe thunderstorm warning across the Albemarle Sound up toward Edenton. And I'm going to toss it back over to Abby to see if she has any information or updates from Bertie County. Again, funnel clouds were reported to the south, Abby, but haven't seen any reports in from Bertie County just yet.
Checking on it right now and not seeing any updates yet about any potential damage. We just checked in with you about 5 to 7 minutes ago, letting you know that we checked when Martin County and Bertie County, both sheriffs there, saying that there's no damage reported there yet. But we will continue checking in with them as the storm keeps moving. We want to remind you too about our Weather Radio Wednesday coming up this Wednesday. Just a great reminder to have that extra resource. It's something that'll go off when these storms come and tornado alerts are issued. If you already don't have our apps as well, go ahead and take a moment and download that so you can get push notifications. That way you are informed on every platform when severe weather strikes. And of course, we are watching this on the radar, and we are checking in with law enforcement as well to help keep you safe and watch out for any damage reports.
Okay, and of course we are keeping an eye on that potential of having funnel clouds if there was any touchdown in the western part of Washington County, northern part of Martin County up into Bertie County. You can see that the signatures are not just what we're normally used to seeing with tornadoes, which is a sign that there are certainly still some potential there. But it has weakened somewhat, and I'm going to take that lightning bolt off because those are so big. But as you take a look again at the areas with the rain and the thunderstorms, they still continue because of that. You see there's a double yellow line there to the north. North of Edenton, that is an area that's been extended into this severe thunderstorm warning. But the tornado warning set to expire in about 2.5 minutes from now. Hopefully that has calmed down enough that they will allow this to expire. But you can see in Mary Hill, continuing down Highway 45 and over again, we'll come in a little closer on 308. Those are the areas where most of the activity has been this afternoon or in the last 15-20 minutes. So that is creating a problem for those folks. But again, if you know somebody that travels that road and they're not home yet, you might give them a quick call and just tell them to be alert as they pass through that area, especially as you head south of Mary Hill on 45, then where it turns into 308, or if you turn west on 308, headed toward Ellis Store and over toward Woodard. You can see Woodard right on the edge as they continue to trim away at this tornado warning. And again, with it expiring here in a couple of minutes, they probably will not do an update, although you can see the southern part improving there as far as that particular polygon, the red polygon, is concerned. But for those of you that are in the southeastern part of Bertie County over toward the Albemarle Sound, just keep in mind that the weather conditions are certainly one that is challenging with these thunderstorms moving to the north. That's part of the reason for the extension of this tornado, or I should say this severe thunderstorm warning across the Albemarle Sound north of Edenton. But the tornado warning is set to expire in Bertie County in about a minute from now, so that's a good time to back out here and just give you a quick overview of what we're seeing here. And if you head down to Duplin County, about to move into western Jones County and the northeastern part of Duplin County, and then again into the northwestern part of Onslow County, right around where all those three counties are coming together. That's where we see the severe weather potential again with these thunderstorms passing through that we'll keep an eye on. Also, I'm going to turn the lightning back on just so that you can get a quick view of where some of these storms are as far as lightning is concerned with this particular system. But you can see again back just right around the northwestern part of Duplin County near Mount Olive. Those are areas back down toward Faison, and as you make your way up toward Calypso as well. But it is 6 o'clock. Let's back out, and you can see that we do have these severe thunderstorm warnings going outside of the viewing area, with the exception of southeastern Bertie County. We'll continue to track those. As of right now, that tornado warning has been allowed to expire in Bertie County. And so we're going to go back to our regular newscast and pick up with our 6 o'clock newscast and continue on, as it appears the tornado warning has expired as of 6 o'clock in Bertie County.
From News 12 Now, alerting you to severe weather danger. We begin with Storm Track 12.